I spent 5 years making a documentary that pretty much no one will ever see. And sadly, that is not an uncommon story. I want you to learn from my mistakes, so when you make your next documentary, you can make something enjoyable, viewable, and, could you imagine, profitable. Let's talk about the very real realities of being a documentary filmmaker. Oh, maybe I have one for the end here. I hope we have enough for the end. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. I know we're talking about the reality. Here we go. Episode 9. Wow. Episode 9 already. I have a quote to start with. This is very important. I am a mechanical I. I, a machine, am showing you a world, the likes of which only I can see. The person who said that was Ziga, D-Z-I-G-A, Verton, Kino Glass. I don't know. You can look it up. That really spoke to me. I liked that a lot. And what I'll do first is kind of riff on what documentary means to me, what my experience has been, where I think I can go with it, what I've been told from professionals it is. This quote is great because this is what keeps me in it, is this realization that I have a very specific I have a very specific way of telling stories, interacting with people, and I want to keep doing that. And I've gotten enough positive reinforcement in the past 12 or however many years it's been that I should keep doing this. And I have something to say, and I enjoy saying it through other people. That is the reality of documentary for me, is especially this documentary. There's so much that's said in this documentary that I feel and that I believe, but they said it, not me. And I didn't even direct them to say it. And I liked that because I think there's so many people that are experiencing life like you are in this specific situation as well. People around me were seeing what was happening. They were feeling the same thing. And I like that they could put words to that instead of me doing that. I mean, I don't mind doing this YouTube stuff. I enjoy it. It's fun. But when it comes to making a documentary, I want other people to say it. I want to hear what they have to say, because most of the time it's better than me and it's in a different way, because everyone's life experience is different. I don't know exactly where I'm going with all of this. I do know where I want to go, and I think that's the best way to look at it, is I did this project. I've done things since then. I am a film industry person, and so I don't really know what's next. But what I want to do, I guess maybe I'll say what I don't want to do. I've been seeing this a lot, and what's happening a lot is like documentaries for companies, especially large ones like Walmart or like Patagonia or whatever it may be. It's like you're making this like seemingly candid, real content for this major, huge capitalist company. And I don't like that. And it's honestly kind of embarrassing that that's what you have to do to make money now, is you have to kind of fake this like hyper real, hyper candid, hyper like just off the cuff thing for like this multi-million or billion-dollar company. Saying that out loud is just so embarrassing if you're those kind of people. But again, do what you got to do. I hate that. I don't agree with it. And I think that's personally what's ruining this country, is stuff like that. Is we just keep giving companies more and more attention, freedom, and access to our skills. And it's like, nah, dude, don't do that. So, you're wondering why you don't have any money right now. Like, that's why. Yeah, I mean, this comes in lieu of like Trump cutting all of these things. Like, no one's getting Medicaid anymore. No one's getting like unemployment anymore. Like, the minimum wage is still really low. It's like, like, just take a step back and see what you're doing. Like, who are you giving your skills and your time to? And that's kind of what I tie into my documentary future, I hope, is there are still ways to make money outside of just large businesses. That's what I want to do, is I want to find these really intimate personal stories and tell them, but the audience needs to be someone that I'm building. The audience should enjoy the film in a way that's wholesome. Like I said before, I don't want to be exposing people. I hate that idea that it's so common now to just ruin someone's life with a documentary, whether they're a good person, a bad person, you don't know, maybe they're in between. It's like, I think these people are going to look back and be like, what have I done? Like, I spent my life's work tearing people down, and I don't like that. And so I don't want to do that either. And what's cool is it keeps driving me towards something more and more specific. and because of that, am I lying? Is that why I sneezed? Because of that, it's making me learn how this stuff works. Is how do you run your own ads? How do you find a fiscal, investor? How do you pitch stuff for grant funding or for, whatever it may be? Like, how do you get into like Sundance Labs, stuff like that, where there are things that I'm comfortable with, there are things that I'm not comfortable with. And I'll say this on camera and I will stand by it. If REI came to me and they were like, we want to pay you $60,000 or $80,000 to go make a documentary and like, but it has to be this and it has to say this but it has to feel real, and I would just say no. It's just a no. And I hope that someone reminds me of this if that day comes. I typically remember what I say. So, but that's the thing, is I'm on a certain course, and you should be seeing what you want that to be for yourself, whether it be through making a documentary or just kind of thinking about your future. Again, that was me riffing, sorry. Making anything at all is amazing. And this is a good example. This is a very in-depth project. I was very fulfilled making it, and it is very filling in terms of the subject. It has filled out the subject very well in the story that I'm trying to tell. But we've said this, and I've said this along the way, like, I don't know who we is. I've said this in the past episode, it could have been way better, but I still made something. Actually, I made 2 things. Actually, I made 3 things. Before and after all this, I've made a giant website, like basically as an archive. Before and after, now it's all the assets, like the films and pictures and posters and drawings and interviews that I did, and stuff that didn't make it, like raw interviews and just like footage that you would have never seen. Like all of that lives on a page now. Like that's incredible, because again, I think of myself more as an archivist rather than a documentary filmmaker. I love just archiving culture for people and for places, because it comes and goes quickly, and that's the point of this documentary. So making anything at all is amazing. Just do it. Whether it's good or bad, doesn't matter. Still show it to people anyways. I know so many people that just haven't shown anyone their work because they think it's not good enough or whatever. They have, like me, a barometer of like, what is quality, what is not. Just show it to people anyway. That's all I'll say. This is a good reminder not to do the copy and paste thing that every streamer is doing now. I swear to God, every trailer, every documentary looks exactly the same. I can tell you where it's going to go, what it's going to look like, what it's going to sound like. Try to do something different. Try to tell a real story in a different way, in your own way. Try to build your voice, your character. What's happening with the streamers is really sad. Kind of like with the company thing. Everyone is just, now it's a template. You know what you're going to get. And that's business, baby. And this is also a good time to mention, after 9 years, all of this stuff for me isn't the version of success most people would think, but it has come with really interesting caveats in terms of the people I've been able to talk to, the places I've been able to show it, the things that it's kind of catapulted me to do. That is in itself really cool. And that's something I think a lot of documentaries don't do for people, because they'll put it out, it'll have its time, and now you can go see it here, and they're moving on to the next thing or whatever it may be. But because of the nature of this, like, I've held on to this for so long, and I've been, the spokesperson for it. And now 9 years later, when it had its screening down at the border, I'm continuing to be able to have the conversation with these locals, with these people, with these, curators and doers and makers. And I like that. And I think with a lot of documentaries, especially like kind of the new age ones that just go to a platform, these people, you feel like you never see them again. Like, they just move on to the next project, and that's great. But this in itself has been a really cool journey for me, because I've been able to hold on to it and do other things with it other than just like throw it on a platform. Yeah, in terms of the reality of where Doc is going, how to be a bit more successful in it, I'm hearing a lot. I hear this every week with like groups of people that I talk with. This bigger group, the D word I was telling you about, is the way people are finding their niche in documentary, but also a way to make money is building audience from day one. That's something I'll repeat a million times if I need to. But it's also finding, maybe organizations to pair with, nonprofits, whatever it may be, like, grant money, knowing that it's a certain subject, they might give you more money. Finding all that kind of stuff is very important. Also is realizing that you are going to have to probably do your own screenings, maybe have a road show with it, do online screenings. You're going to have to pitch this, but also you should be looking for what kind of people need this story in their environment. And a lot of people talk about conferences. So it's like, for a certain subject or for a certain sector of business, like there's conferences for everything. And they love to show 10-minute or less films and kind of just get people like, excited, because you go to these conferences and sometimes just people talking all day long and it's boring as hell. And so if they can show a movie or a short film, just like a shorter version of your film even, 10 minutes or less, sometimes you'll just introduce it. Sometimes you'll just say a few words afterwards. Sometimes they'll have a whole ass Q&A. They'll decide what they want. They know what they want or what they need. But you being able to find that niche is huge. I know some documentary filmmakers that have been showing their films for years in conferences. And just because they found that niche and the subject matter is so important to them, they'll just get paid to go and say a few words and show their film, and then the end. So that's something to think about. I haven't heard it very often outside of these few groups, but don't think that documentary means you make something and it needs to be shown in a theater, a film festival, or on streaming. There's so many other ways to make it useful and to make it viewable, especially in your own country, but abroad as well. Do not forget that a lot of things that you make here can be applicable abroad, sometimes even more so. I should say why ultimately this project was so special to me. The reality of documentary for me in the beginning when I started making this was, I can do whatever I want with this. I have full creative control over this. I can make the mistakes that I want. Whatever it is, I can take 5-6 years to just figure this thing out and make something out of it. And although there were, like I said, a lot of mistakes that I made along the way, being able to make those mistakes is huge. And there's truly no serious consequences because there's no money attached to it. And there's no people that need something out of it attached to it. And that is basically the next step in my career, is like, once I get a producer attached to this or like investors attached to it, like, you are answering to people and every choice you make could lose them money. That's the sad reality. And so I loved this process of being like, this is raw, unfiltered. This is me doing whatever I want to do in this process, presenting it however I want to present it. I don't know if many people get that chance, and I'm just so glad that I got that chance. It felt like a privilege to be able to do this. And so that's kind of the lighter side of all of this, is like, you've been hearing everything I did wrong and I would do differently. But it was so great to even be able to do this and make those mistakes. And I won't forget that for sure. Oh, that's why they're dropping things on the floor. That's why the ceiling is coming down. I think another thing, the last thing I'll say is really cool, is this inspired me to learn how to DJ and ultimately put my style into DJ mixes or sets. What I did as a way to promote the final film festival screening of the 20-minute version was last year, it was showing in Mexico City. And, well, I didn't know, I was going to show it at the border, but, last year in 2024, I was like, oh, this is the last screening. Like, it's going to be in Mexico City. Like, I want to go onto this local radio station that I know the people that run this. They were in the documentary, and now I've learned to DJ, but I want to put my spin on it. And so what I did is I took a bunch of dialogue from the documentary, paired it with songs, obviously house and techno songs, and electronic music in general, and made this 2-hour set, this story about basically shortening the documentary into a musical storytelling experience. And it was amazing. I mean, I practiced for months, but it went over so well. And people just, when they heard it, they were like, wow, like, this is incredible. And it reminded me, there's so many different ways for people to digest your media, something that you've been, capturing for all these years. It doesn't have to be just like a 20-minute thing. It can be like all these different things. And again, reminding you to put stuff on social media, little snippets, et cetera, et cetera. There's so many ways to capture people, to bring them into your bubble, to look at the story a bit more. And that was great. And that went so well that I did it again just a few weeks ago, in 2025. And it was basically the 1 year anniversary of that first music set that I did on the radio. And I came back and I took all of these interviews and snippets and things from Europe when I traveled there in 2015. And and I put another story together, and like that's becoming a thing that I'm doing now. And so this documentary inspired me in so many different ways to learn new things and to find ways to market it and to promote it in a world when it seems seemingly impossible to get people's attention. So I'm just going to keep throwing things at the wall and see if people will watch my stuff. But yeah, that's that. I hope this was interesting for you. The next episode, we're going to talk about episode 1 through 9. I'm going to just basically take the little tidbits and tell you exactly what I would do differently, maybe some of the nice things that I've said more candidly in these interviews. We'll wrap all that up. And then the last episode, episode 11, we'll be talking about the documentary that I started working on in Detroit, how I did things differently for that, the mistakes I've already made with that, and kind of where that's going. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on the next one. Last pour. Oh, perfect.